I stopped looking at the world and my choices as easy and hard. It was just right and wrong. And every time you make the right decision, it is always going to be harder. It's always going to take longer. It's always going to require more work. It's always going to require more sacrifice. But what you get from that is everlasting.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the First Things First, a show where we talk about setting our priorities in the right order to help us fall in love with the job again. My name is Helton Pereira, and today I am joined by my friend Julian.
Thank
Welcome,
you
my
for
friend.
thank you for having me, man. I'm super stoked to be here.
Yes. So we met online. We haven't met in person yet. I reached out to you on social media. I loved a lot of the stuff that you have been doing with Prepare to Fight Fire. And so tell me a little bit about what Prepare to Fight Fire is all about.
Yeah. So there's a lot that we're trying to push here at Prepare to Fight Fire. But to summarize it really simply, it's a place that offers every resource possible for you to become the best that you can be. So when we talk about resources, we talk about a structure, right? A structured plan. We talk about guidance. We talk about mentorship. We talk about accountability. And then we talk about instruction. All right. And the instruction is really the base where we excel and why we get the results we do, because it's not a simple follow this program. We teach the skill sets that make people successful, not for 90 days, but forever. Right. And some of those skill sets are very simple, but they're hard to understand, learn, and master. Consistency, discipline, self-belief, controlling your thoughts. Those are all things that, the best of the best in the world have mastered as far as skill sets. And then they employ those skill sets in whatever it is that they do. And then they find, a lot of success. So that's kind of the summary of what we do here at Prepare to Fight Fire. It's more than just a fitness program. It's more than just getting you ready for the job. It's something that I want to implement into somebody's life and give them the experience that the things they learn here, they take away and can use forever. So,
And also, as you said, it's not just for the fire service, right? It's something that they can use on their personal lives. We've talked a little bit about like the breathing work, the meditation aspect, the mental resiliency, how important that is for everybody, not just for somebody joining the fire service. So can you tell us a little bit about how did you get into the fire service? So share with everybody how you got into it.
yeah, so I've always wanted to be a firefighter ever since I was a little kid. Right, it's been always been a dream of mine. Coming into high school, I was a very arrogant guy. I was good at football, played football, and I had my eyes set on being a firefighter. Right, I didn't really care about anything else. School was just a checkbox of getting through it, barely getting good grades, and not understanding that you still have to go to college in some sort to be a firefighter, right? But fast forward to get to the fire department, I didn't understand the sacrifice commitment that it actually took. And I think a lot of people in the world today don't understand that the sacrifice and commitment that the job requires. They see the videos, they see the movies, they hear stories, they do a ride along, but to truly understand like the commitment and the sacrifice, you have to experience it, right? And then when you experience it, you then come to realize how much it actually takes, mentally, physically. And I had no idea. I was just riding off the coattails of it being a goal, dream of what I wanted to do. And I was very unsuccessful in that pursuit of becoming a firefighter at first. And so through that failure, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the two things necessary for this career. And I never let it stop me, right? I never let the experience of not being successful reroute my journey or my path. I just understood that I wasn't good enough yet, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people need to hone in on is that's okay. Like that you're not good enough yet, right? But that's the most important word there is yet. And with that, you have to digest it and then understand the work that you need to put in to improve to be good enough, right? I've showed up to a lot of situations, a lot of experiences in my life that I wasn't good enough and I was unsuccessful. I came up short, I failed, fell on my face, burned bridges, made mistakes. I mean, you name it. But from that, I learned and I took away the lessons that I got from that experience. And I always come back better prepared. And I've never left a stone unturned, right? That's something that I truly take pride in my life is whatever I do, if I'm not successful, I won't stop until I am successful. And that's something that I've always taken tremendous pride in. And I think that's what it really means to be a firefighter. When we talk about what is the definition of a firefighter, for me, it's somebody that always makes it happen, right? Always finishes the job, always finds a way, a problem solver, right? And that's just a quick definition.
So you're a firefighter in Florida, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, in Florida. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to go to fire school and then you apply for the job. So you have to on your own pay for fire school.
Correct.
Like up here in Virginia, I was a volunteer firefighter for a year, and I just happened to fall in love with the job. And I said, "Man, this is really cool. I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life." And at that period, I then applied to be a firefighter with a couple different counties. I got hired, and then they put me through their recruit school then. And so after those 6 months of training, that's when I got assigned to a firehouse. But in Florida is a little bit different. You have to pay your own way to go to fire school, and if you don't pass it, you're out on the street and you have to take fire school again. And that's kind of what happened with you.
So there's a few departments, and I think I would say tops three departments in the state that you don't have to be certified at all. You can just be a civilian that they put you through it if you pass the test and you score high enough on their entry exams. Aside from that, all of Florida, aside from those three, are the prereqs are firefighter 1 and 2, and then your national EMT certification at the minimum, right? We are a very big EMS state, so you also get preference for being a paramedic. So it's extremely competitive all across the country, but especially here in Florida, the market of firefighter is tough. It's extremely hard. And it also depends on where you go to school, right? I don't know if I would have met that same failure at fire school had I gone anywhere else aside from where I went at the Florida State Fire College. I've been associated with a few different fire schools, but I know, through and through what the Florida State Fire College is. I know what the expectation is, and I know that they lead they lead the forefront of firefighting across the state just from the simple level of instruction to the fitness expectation to just you live there, you're on campus, right? So you're talking about like you're going to fire school and it's like you're just getting a certification, but you're there, you're in the dorms, like all you're focused on is firefighting. So it's a unique experience in itself. And I don't think had I been or went to that school specifically, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. Them sending me home was the best thing that happened to me, and it showed me, like we're losing that in society today of holding a standard and telling people that don't meet that standard you're not good enough, right? It's tough. It's really tough. But yeah,
You're very big in self-development, and obviously it's got to take grit for you to go through something like that, whether you're paid, whether you're in a department where they're paying for your training. What did you do to find that? How do you pick the pieces back together?
yeah. The biggest thing, man, is making one decision. It's very simple, and this is what happened with me. This is my story. It was one decision. So I came back. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't come back from fire school and say like, "Oh, I'm going back." Like I was really in a bad place, probably the darkest place I've ever been in my life. And I came back. I got a job with an ambulance company doing just interfacility transfers as an EMT, which for anybody out there that does that job, I've been there, done that. I know what it's like. It's not fun at all. I'll be honest. It's not fun at all. But it's good for you. It builds character and it really makes you appreciate things. It was one night. Helton, that I was home, and it was like 2 a.m. I was up late watching TV, and I went to use the bathroom, and I was in underwear. Right, I went to the bathroom. I wasn't wearing a shirt, and as I'm leaving the bathroom, I'm washing my hands, and I look up and I look at the mirror, right, and I look at the mirror and I see myself, and I had this like sinking feeling in my stomach, like just so disappointed in what I saw and who I was, and it was in that moment that I'm like enough's enough. Like we're done. Like we're not doing this. Like we're changing right now. Like this is the moment that I make a decision, right? The one decision that I'm never gonna be like this anymore. So how did that kind of spiral into who I am today? I stopped looking at the world and my choices as easy and hard. It was just right and wrong. And every time you make the right decision, it is always going to be harder. It's always going to take longer. It's always going to require more work. It's always going to require more sacrifice. But what you get from that is everlasting, right? It really is. It compounds. It's just like putting money into the stock market. Like you're not going to see it right now, but in 10 years, like here I am, right? In 10 years, I've compounded just so much momentum because I don't take the easy route ever, right? Everybody makes fun of me that's close to me because they say I love doing shit the hard way, and it's true. It really really is, right? From taking the stairs in airports to just the simple things that we make decisions on that is easy or hard. I don't look at it as easy or hard. I look at it from the standpoint from am I going to grow or am I going to stay in place and stay the same? So my approach the next day was you're not physically or mentally ready for the fire service to be a firefighter. So we need to change that like immediately. So I had a set of bunker gear and I had a mask. Every single day for an hour in the morning and an hour at night, I would put my gear on and I would train. I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't have the understanding or experience in fitness. I played football, so I had a baseline, but not this type of training. And I just kept it simple, man. I did calisthenics, push ups, sit ups, pull ups, burpees, and I ran every day, right? So I went from weighing like 290 at that moment to dropping down to like 240, 235 within 6 months. And I was just in a huge calorie deficit, not by a specific target, just started eating less and training harder, right? I just kept it super simple and was very, very consistent. And I went back to fire school, was successful, got hired in fire school, and then literally started as a professional firefighter about a month after I graduated, which was awesome. So that's kind of how I ended up, here in the present time of today.
That's awesome, man. That's an awesome story. I'm sure that there are people out there that can feel that. For me, I empathize with that a little bit. When you said you look at yourself in the mirror, for me, my journey to get healthy was me. I had to actually look at a video of me. My wife took a video of me playing with my daughters and my son, and I was like, "Who's that fat guy chasing my kids around?" And I realized that was me. And so for me, that was like, oh my God, I don't want that to be me for the rest of my life. So I had to make some changes. And like you said, just keeping it simple, eating a calorie deficit and work your butt off, it definitely helps. So
Yeah.
so now so I want to catch the story where you finished up. So you get hired, you get picked up in an department, and this is a question that I always love uh, asking people. What is like the first day that you step foot in the firehouse as a rookie? What are the things that are going through your mind? So walk us through like that first day.
So it was interesting, man, because I come from a very, very spoiled background. My parents came from nothing. They worked extremely hard and blessed me and my brother with everything we ever wanted, right? We always had the nicest stuff. We always went on vacation. We always just were spoiled. I never cut grass before. I never run a chainsaw before. I never operated any type of machinery. Like, was not blue collar whatsoever.
So the guys in the truck loved you, huh?
Yeah. So, and the guys when I got on shift for the first day, they spotted me as soon as I walked in that I was just as green as could be. And for me, man, I left home when I got hired. I left South Florida and I made my way up to North Florida. And so everything was new. Everything was new, right? I was living on my own for the first time. I was, surrounded by people I didn't know, the area I didn't know. And it catapulted me to grow so fast. I probably grew in 3 years what it takes people 8 to 10 years to grow because I had no choice. And coming in, man, again, now I was arrogant when I failed out of fire school. Now I was arrogant and fit, but didn't know shit about anything. And so these guys that brought me in, they humbled me, they taught me, and they made me the firefighter that I am today. So that first day, man, I was nervous as could be. Didn't know anything, right? Made a ton of mistakes. Talked too much, said the wrong things. I mean, you name it, right? But it was awesome. I mean, I think I see so many people are in such a rush to get through the beginning, to get through the training, to get through probation. Like, I just want to get through, and it's like you don't understand. Every step in the process of life is important. Like it's amazing, right? And if you experience and have that perspective of like, I'm just happy to be here right now, then you'll enjoy it. There's a quote out there that's super true. Suffering is optional, right? A lot of things we do, we have to suffer. But if you change your mindset from I'm not suffering, then that's the mindset you're going to have. But if your mindset's always like dragging or why do I have to do this or how long is this going to take? Like just a negative approach is terrible, right? So for anybody out there listening, like whatever stage you're in, whether you're just starting, whether you're in the middle, it doesn't matter, right? Your mindset and the way you perceive things is what that experience is going to really give you in the moment.
Yeah, we get so focused on that final destination. We want to arrive, we want to get there. We have a goal in mind, but we forget to enjoy ourselves in the middle, like, and we can grow just as much as when we get to the final destination. We have to have the mindset of wanting to grow and excel in things. But I think it's just as important to take one day at a time. One thing that as you were talking about, I was thinking, I wish I had a picture of my first day at the firehouse. I don't know if you have that, but even sometimes, and I know that everybody just hates, like, oh man, I don't want to take a picture. I want you to post it on Facebook or throw it on Instagram or whatever. But I think it's important to just sometimes just sit down, like take a picture. And if you're out there listening and if you have a rookie coming into your station, just take a second and snap a photo, whether it's just at him in next to the fire truck or if it's the first crew. I think it's huge. And I every chance I get, I do that to everybody that's coming into the firehouse, because those are things that 20, 25, 30 years from now, somebody's going to be able to look at that and say, hey, this was my first day at the firehouse. And they're going to be able to think back and look at that picture and think back of all the good things that they've done throughout their
Yeah.
career.
It's a weird time we're in with social media, pro social media, anti social media. Just me earlier today, I was in the gym with a selfie stick, taking videos. And, I'm sure people are like, look at this guy, look at this tool taking videos. And obviously, I don't really give a shit what people think. But for those out there, pro social media or anti, like it's memories, man. And I was told the same thing coming in: take more pictures, like take more videos, and I still didn't do as much as I should have. And now looking back, like I'm so grateful I have social media, and I've obviously made a business out of it. But like the other day, I went back almost 2 years of social media, and I listened to myself speak, and I'm like, oh my god, man, you're such a dork. Like listen to you speak. And then I look at my quotes and I look at my captions and I see how much I've grown mentally. And it's just amazing, right? And then I have pictures of when I was on probation with guys that, now they're retired, but they were my mentors. And like those pictures, they take me back to trainings and like how awesome those trainings were. And yeah, man, 100%. Anybody out there listening to this, like take pictures. It's something that you'll cherish forever.
Yeah, I mean, we do that with our kids, right? We love taking pictures. I mean, if you, especially you're about to be a new father, I'm sure you're gonna have your phone and you snap 1,000 pictures of your kid, and you're gonna proudly pull it out and show somebody. It's like, hey, look at my kid, look at this, and the fire service, it's our family, right? We spend 24 hours at a time with these guys and girls. So treat it like family. Take lots of pictures. Like you said, you're going to have people that are retired. They're going to be able to look back and remember those things. And I think you touch on something that I want to get into is mentors. You know, you already said that you had some guys come in on your first day that they were able to catch you and say, hey, here's some of the things that are going to help you to be successful. One of the things that I believe in is I say, like, you are a product of the first person that gets a hold of you in the fire department. If you have somebody who's going to be super positive, that's going to help you grow, you're probably going to be somebody who's successful. If you get somebody who's just going to continuously, put you down and berate you, you're probably not going to have a good time in the fire service, or even worse, you're probably going to become that guy later down the roads. Can you share with us a little bit about some of the people that got a hold of you early on in your career, which obviously have made a positive impact on who you are today?
Yeah, man. So it's very interesting, and that's a topic that I love to discuss. First and foremost, for everybody listening, you have to set your own standards and expectations for yourself. You cannot be dependent on anybody else for your mindset, for your experience, for your goals. It's solely on you. It's on your shoulders. You are in control of your life. Understand that when you come into this job, it can go either way, right? You can be surrounded by people that are firecrackers and they're on fire all the time. Physically, they're extremely fit. They have great leadership qualities. They're extremely intelligent. They know a lot about the job. They have a lot of experience. They share the experience. They teach you. They set expectations. They empower you, right? Like, this is all what you would think you would experience coming into the fire service. For me, it was a little bit differently, right? When I came in, I was young, dumb, and extremely hungry, right? Like, I was starving for experience, starving for just a full fire department experience. And then I had huge expectations that I set for myself. So when you do that and you have that mindset and approach, it doesn't matter who you're surrounded with. It doesn't matter who you work with. You have your eyes set on what you want. And if the people that you work with don't give it to you, you will find other means to grow and develop. So when people tell me specifically, or we have the conversation of like, well, there's a lot of people that are in the middle. And if they get put with bad people, they're going to turn out bad. If they get put with good people, I don't disagree. But there also is a level of adulting that we have to do here with everybody that comes into the fire service. And again, like I started this conversation with, you need to set your own expectation, your own standard, and then hold that extremely close. So for me, that's what I did. And when I came into a crew that was very experienced, had a lot of time on. The officer was extremely knowledgeable, had done a lot of amazing things, but they were on their way out, man. They were on their way out, and then you got guys that had 20 plus years on, at a firehouse that was pretty busy, and then here comes this new kid that's 19 years old, full of energy. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm going to be honest, right? I didn't get what I wanted, but I learned a lot, right? You're always going to learn a lot. It doesn't matter whether you want to like it or not. The experience that you're going to have when you come into this job is going to be good. For me and the officer had a different mindset, right? And I think it was just because of where he was in his life, his personal experiences that he was struggling with still. He wasn't in a position personally to bring me under his wing and give me everything he had. I think from a personal standpoint, his energy level was very, very low, right? But he taught me a lot in other different areas where there was other officers on different shifts that were the polar opposite, were younger officers, had a lot of energy, had a lot of goals that they had set, were just getting cranked up into their career, and they were gaining a lot of momentum, were heavily in the involved in instructing, and worked at the fire college and worked with our recruit academy at the department I got hired with, and loved training. So it was a matter of time. It was about 2 years that I was under the specific crew that I worked with before I changed shifts and had a completely different experience. But I learned a lot, in the situation that I was in, that I wasn't necessarily always happy to be in. I was usually the only one working out, the only one trying to train, and that's frustrating. But again, I set my own expectation, my own standard, and I always held that. And then it was just a matter of time before I got around people that were aligned with what I was, trying to accomplish.
Yeah, you're obviously preparing yourself for what was coming next, and that's something that, I mean, it's on the name of your platform is being prepared to fight fire. You know, you never know what you're going to get the next the next call, the next assignment, the next crew that you're going to be in. And I've heard you say that you need to prepare yourself to be successful. The first time I took a promotional exam, somebody told me, was like, man, you've only been here for X amount of years. Why are you taking this process, the promotional process? And I said, I feel like I have prepared myself for the next step, and so I'm uh, I'm up for it. You know, you're never going to be successful at something if you're not prepared, or if you don't try, right? You can't just sit back and you know wait out for other people to try to do some of the things that you want to do. And so just showing up at the firehouse is just not going to do it. And one of the things that I'm really learning to right now, and learning to do process it, is we never arrive. There's always something else. It's an idea of false summits. When you're climbing a mountain and you really can't see the top when you're at the bottom, you look up and you see the top of the mountain, and then you get to what you think was the top, but it's not. It's just another peak, but you still got more to climb. And so I'm really learning that in life, not just in the fire service, we never arrive. Like, if you're the rookie, there's the next step, which is could be the driver, it could be the engineer, or it could be a lieutenant. And then you when you get there, well, now you're the rookie driver. Now you're the rookie lieutenant. Now you're the rookie officer. So you're always new. We're always learning, and we're always got to be pushing ourselves. And like you said, there are times that people settle, and I don't want to be that guy that settles. And so I really appreciate that idea that you have of you got to set your own standards.
Yeah, and it's something that I changed my perspective on it a long time ago. It's hard, man, because we're creatures of comfort. You know what I mean? And when you give somebody the job that we have and the schedule that we have, it is very, very, very easy to get complacent, to get comfortable, to just coast, right? To coast. And for somebody that's listening that has been coasting, be very, very careful, because in a blink of an eye, it'll be too late to change yourself, your life path, or do things that you could have done when you were coasting. And for me, it's just insane. Like, I'm 31 years old. Like, the last decade has flown by, like, truly. Now, for me, I've always been reaching. I've always been striving to do things. And I feel like I've accomplished a little bit, nothing insane, but I have so much more that I want to accomplish. So now it's making sure that I consistently remain uncomfortable, because when I remain uncomfortable, I'm growing and I'm doing things that I wouldn't do if I was in that comfort zone. Right. And it's not fun. You know what I mean? Something that I truly live by, and it's a quote that's always in the forefront of my mind. Winning is more fun than fun is fun, right? And so for me, winning is growing, developing, you know, and in that pursuit, I have a good time, you know.
And I love that. And I think it's dangerous to be complacent or to just go with the flow, because I think that's where we get ourselves into trouble. As we are talking about earlier, for me, one of the reasons why I started doing this podcast and putting things online was because I saw people coasting, and I saw people suffering the effects of just getting by to get by. Because sometimes it's too late, and you, as you said, you go by 5, 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden you haven't accomplished anything, or you've had things fall by the wayside. And that's when people start dealing with substance abuse. They end up having problems at home with their relationship with their kids. And I mean, God forbid they end up taking their own lives. We were on the phone the other day, and we both shared our experiences with that. And if you don't mind, I would love for you to share with us how you dealt with a close friend of yours getting to the end of the road, of dealing with that.
Yeah. So I lost one of my best friends to suicide in 2020, 2020, 2019, October 20th, 2019. It was horrible. It was terrible. This man was somebody very special to myself and a lot of other people. He made an impact in not only the world but in a lot of people's lives individually. And he was a prime example of making everybody a priority except himself, right? And not really taking care of himself in all aspects. And it was super unfortunate that we lost him. But he taught me and so many people so many different things, man. And our just ability to experience the short time we have with him is a blessing, and something that I'll cherish forever, and I'll never let his memory die. I saw a picture of him the other day, and I just looked at it, man, and smiled, and looked up to the sky and just said, "Thank you, man. Thank you for being here when you were." But speaking about mental health and breaking that down, I had a conversation with a captain that I work with that I respect immensely, and I'll keep his first name out of it, but his last name's Bronco, and he's an amazing human being, like amazing leader, hell of an athlete, just a complete savage. And he sat me down one day and he explained to me how we as human beings have 100%, right? And this saying that people put out there of "give me your 100%" is not necessarily true. You can't give anything 100%, right? Because as adults, we have priorities, we have responsibilities, right? So most adults have the first responsibility is their family, the second responsibility is their profession, their job, and then the third one, let's hope, is themselves or a hobby. Usually a hobby of some sort, but not themselves, but let's just call it themselves. And then some people that are go getters or always busy and doing things and high achievers, they have four priorities, right? Four responsibilities. And then so the numbers obviously dwindle. So if we have three, we have 33% of energy levels that are going to each priority. If we have four, then we have 25%. So we'll just keep it simple and keep it at three. So at three responsibilities, priorities, you are giving 33% to each. So when you say give me 100%, you're really only giving 33% if you give 100%. Most of us aren't giving 100%, so let's call it what it is and give it a reality of 20%. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether responsible of, you're probably only giving 20%. So now that we've gotten realistic with the numbers, like how long can we sustain giving 100%, which is not even 100%, of what we're responsible of, right? Without making sure that ourself is the highest priority and that we're pouring in as much energy of that 33% into making ourselves like good to go, making sure that we're in a good space mentally, making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we're the best that we can be. I always, for the longest time, had an issue when I got on an airplane and they would say, if we drop below altitude rapidly, and the masks drop out of the ceiling, make sure that you put your mask on first, and then you help somebody else. I was like, that's so selfish. Like, why would I put my mask on if there's like an old lady or somebody who's struggling next to me that can't? I'm a young guy. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, with my experience, I wholeheartedly understand that thought process. It's extremely selfish for you not to take care of yourself, because if you don't, then the people that you're responsible for or the things that you're responsible for will suffer. And the question is, what happens when you're not here to those things and people, right? So for me, when it comes to mental health, man, we have to understand that if we don't make ourselves a priority, nobody else will. And it's a selfish way of thinking, and it has to be. It really, really does. And then the next thing is how many things are you responsible of and how much energy are you actually given that? So for me, I almost crumbled and completely ruined my career to the point where I had 6 or 7 priorities and I was giving maybe 3 to 5% to each priority, and things started to fall apart. So with that being said, it's it's interesting, the whole mental health thing, and where we are as first responders. But I think the number one thing we can do to fix that pandemic is to start giving a shit about like just us as people, and that just starts within,
Yeah, man. It's as you said, it is a weird thing for us to think we are fixers, right? We join the fire service because we want to help others, we want to be there for them, but yet we have to put ourselves first. And I too, I had that same struggle with you that you said that you had, where how am I going to put myself first before other people? How am I going to put the oxygen mask on myself before somebody else? But you're 100% right, man. We always have this idea of putting ourselves first in the case of an emergency, right? But if we put ourselves first, as you said, taking care of ourselves mentally at home, make sure that I like to put the first things first, not no pun intended. I spend time in the morning praying and reading the Bible. I spend time, meditating on the word. And then and I'm doing that with my wife next to me on the couch. If it's the one positive thing that came out of the pandemic, that's all we had to do while there was nothing else to do in the world. So that's how we started our day. We just sit on the couch, drink a cup of coffee, and spend some time together. And I try to do that as basically every morning that I'm at home. And then the next thing we do, we go to the gym. Sometimes we go to the gym together, or sometimes I'll go out on a run and she'll go to the gym. And then kids are on the bus, and then we get the day started. And that's the same thing at the firehouse. Spend some time taking care of yourself, clearing your mind at the firehouse, drink that cup of coffee, spend some time with the guys and girls on the kitchen table, or in the back of the bay, go work out early in the day because calls are going to come, and now it's late in the afternoon and you still haven't worked out. So put the first things first. And then when the call drops, when something happens, you've already taken care of yourself. Physically, mentally, spiritually, your mind is in the right place. Now you can go and help Mrs. Jones, without not having to worry about anything else. You already worked out. Hopefully you didn't kill yourself with a crazy workout. But if you're doing that consistently, now you are in a physical state where you can still work out hard at the firehouse, but yet have enough left over to run a house fire, and not be gassed. So that's what putting yourself first is, so you can be ready to take care and help others. And I think that it's just, we just need to change a little bit of our mindset of what it means to put ourselves first. It's huge, man. When we do those things, when we take care of things at home, and taking time for yourself, man, it's huge. And on the other side too, one of the things that I'm really learning to put time for myself is actually when I'm coming back into the house. One of the things that obviously we work in a stressful environment. There are a thousand things that are going on. As I already shared with you this morning, I came home to a flooded basement, and I wasn't expecting that. But just taking a second, whatever it is for you, for me, I literally sit in my car. I pull up on my driveway and I sit in my car for probably 5 minutes, sometimes 10. And it's just me shifting my mindset from I'm at the firehouse to I'm at home.
Hmm.
There have been plenty of times that I stepped into the home, and whether I see a pile of laundry or kids' toys on the floor, and that would throw me on such a spiral because I was still in firehouse mode. I was still in stress mode because at the firehouse everything is clean, right? You eat, and then you clean up the dishes and you put it in the dishwasher, and we got to mop the kitchen floor and wipe the table down. But in the real world, where my wife lives at home with 3 kids, there are times that she's able to do that, but there are times that she's not.
Right.
And so there are things that are out of place. So I'm coming from the firehouse into my house, and I think the two are supposed to be one. And so taking the time to get your mindset reset and getting ready to reintegrate into the home is huge. I don't know if you have anything like that you do to get yourself
Yeah.
into a mental
Uh,
place.
I've never implemented that. I try to get a training session in before I get home, and that's kind of my time to unwind. And that way, I spend the energy in the gym decompressing, and when I get home, I'm not bothered by stuff like that. But it's interesting that you do say that, and something to think about for us that are on the job is, when we talk about a firehouse, we're talking about a group of people, right? And we're talking about each person is an adult and responsible for any messes they make. They clean it up. when it comes to, even if you don't have kids or you do have kids, you're talking about two people cleaning a space, right? So it's a different approach. It should be a different expectation. And I never thought about it like that. But for us at the firehouse, we got 6, 7 people that at any given time we can say, hey, let's clean up, and it'll take an hour and the station will be clean, right? Versus where you live, it's just, maybe you or one other person. And that's going to take some time. And, we all have different responsibilities. And yeah, it's shifting the expectation with where you are at the current moment, right?
Yeah, and one thing we were talking about earlier, you're about to be a new dad, right? It's in the near future, and it is something that definitely it changes your perspective a little bit. Right now you're able to come in the house and just hang out with you and your wife. Now also I try to dodge and weave the kids because everybody wants to jump on me, but the first kiss is to my wife, and that's important, knowing how to even prioritize. My wife is my priority over my kids. I know that it may seem kind of crazy, but I love my wife more than I love my kids, because at the end of the day, that's how we ended up having kids. It's because of my wife. So I put her first in the household. And as a matter of fact, like we were supposed to um, date night tonight, but we have a little one that's sick, so we got to adjust for that. But we definitely try to make time for each other in that way. And the kids, obviously, I still obviously love hanging out with the kids. We have movie night coming out and a couple of dates as well. So, but the date night comes first, so we're gonna have to readjust the date night, and the movie night probably still gonna happen. But yeah, you're always such a positive person. Everything that I see you doing, everything that I see you putting out. There's one last thing I wanna ask you, and you are a Florida smoke diver, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about just that mindset with everything that you already said, a lot of what it takes to have that mindset of resiliency and of success and sometimes surviving. So can you share a little bit what it takes to have that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just all goes back to that decision, right? Making a decision that you have a clear understanding that nothing good comes with easy, right? Nothing good comes with easy. For me, the smoke diver program changed my life, and I owe everything to that program. The program was way more than firefighting. I mean, it dives deep into self awareness, self belief, self empowerment, standards, what I'm capable of. I mean, so much that has everything, but also nothing to do with the fire department, right? And for that, it's something that I will forever be just so appreciative of that experience. And I think right now we're in an interesting time. I think people are doing a lot of things for the wrong reasons. I think people are doing things because they look or sound cool versus doing things because they want to be the best at what we do, right? And for me, that was my objective, right? I want to be a smoke diver because it's going to make me the best firefighter that I can be. It's going to challenge me and it's going to put me in the environment and surroundings of people that are the best. That was my objective and mindset. And that's what I did. What I did and why I was ultimately successful is because I think my reasoning for that program was aligned with the person that's successful in that program. So it's extremely hard. Words will never do justice to what that program is, to what the experience is like. It's something that you just have to do. And so for anybody out there that is on the fence, get off the fence. Go do it. If you are successful, that's amazing. If you're unsuccessful, that's amazing. Both experiences will be amazing, and it will teach you so much. And that's not just with this program. That's with any program. That's with any opportunity. Again, it's with anything that's going to be challenging and hard. The experience will change you, and that's the purpose, the point of this whole thing, right? Whether it's development in the fire service or it's development outside of the fire service. So you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow and in order to become the best that you can be. That's kind of my take on the smoke diver program.
Oh, that's awesome, Julian. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you giving us that and taking the time to sit down with me and share a little bit about your passions. I can't tell you how thankful I am that you agreed to come on the podcast and share some of those things with me and with everybody that's listening. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, get a hold of you to either ask some questions about either Smoke Diver, Prepare to Fight Fire, any of the programs that you have, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so any platform, Prepare to Fight Fire is the handle, and the messages in the inbox is always the fastest and the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, man, it's always an honor. Like I said, Helton, thank you for bringing me on as a guest, because I love sharing my story and I love giving some insight and perspective. But the biggest thing that people need to understand, podcasts are great, audiobooks are great, taking classes are great, but until you implement the lessons learned in all three things, it's just information, right? And right now we are in a world that is inundated with information and is lacking application, right? So, it's amazing. Listen to what we say, but you have to live. You have to live the life. You have to do things. You have to go experience. You got to put yourself out there. You've got to fail. You've got to look stupid. You've got to feel insecure. These are all things that, I have to, it comes with. I'm at a point now where I have such a high level of responsibility with what I've built here, Prepare to Fight Fire. It's people don't understand the weight of the expectation. And I've been able to carry the weight because I've lived through the mishaps, the failures, the mistakes, the burning of bridges, telling people to fuck off and learning that wasn't the best course of action, right? So now I respect what it is that I've built, and I understand how powerful it is that I have the influence on certain people. But again, for anybody out there listening, don't just listen. Like, you got to do, and you got to do it hard, do it fast. And that's the best way to, live this life that we have.
I love it, Julian. So you heard it here, guys. Julian Serrano from Prepare to Fight Fire. Don't just listen to the information. Go do what it is that you need to do. So as soon as you're done listening, go run a mile, go do a gear workout. Go schedule a date night with a wife, spend some time with the kids. And Julian Serrano, once again, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate your time here, and for everybody else out there, see you next time.